So, good afternoon and welcome to Guided Meditations and More. This is this is Guided Meditations and More video podcast. Usually, I started Guided Meditations and More when COVID hit in New York, COVID-19, as a place where people can go and find some relief from stress and other difficult emotions that many were going through when COVID hit. And so I would offer daily guided meditations. And since then, I've been having various types of people, from professors, teachers, health professionals, and they would join, and we'd have conversations on, various topics. And so that has kind of evolved. I enjoy doing it because it's actually a joy for me. I learn from each interview, and so it's I do it for selfish reasons as well, and I enjoy connecting with people. So this is a way for me to meet new people as well, and for you, to meet people as well, those people that are watching. And today's topic is yoga and wellness, and I'm here with Alexandra Orellana, and she is a yoga instructor and Reiki master, and she has a studio called Crown Yoga and Reiki. And what else? If you have any comments or questions for Alexandra, you can leave the comments here below the video, and I'll try to pass them along. If you have any comments or questions for me, you can leave them below the video, or you can send them to my direct inbox. Also, if you enjoy these podcasts and other things that I do here on the site, if you follow or like the page, you'll get the updates and notifications. So also, just want to wish everybody a happy Veterans Day. Let's begin. I'm just going to turn this off, Facebook here. Okay. So welcome, Alexandra. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me.
So let's, where to begin? That's always trying to find a way in. And I thought maybe we could begin with you sharing a little bit of your story. We could work our way towards how you, like what inspired you to begin practicing your own yoga, for yourself.
Okay. Well, for me, honestly, I had no interest in yoga. My journey started with, I wanted to lose weight, and I purchased the P90X disc package many years ago when it was a DVD set, and yoga was one of the videos, and I hated it. It was so repetitive, and I hated it. And then the next day, I was looking forward to it a little bit because then I was more comfortable with it wasn't the next day. The next week, I felt more comfortable because I knew it was coming. And then over time, I would say over about a month, that was the only video I was doing because
Wow.
it just something happened. And I've noticed that no matter where anybody is on their journey, yoga, it changes people's lives in the most subtle way, but it does. And I couldn't put my finger on it, but that was all I was doing.
Wow, that's really interesting because if it sounds like perhaps the mind wasn't really into it, and the body, it was new for the body, but it sounds like your body kind of took to it because yoga seems to have a great relaxing effect on the body. So
right. And it's a way that connects the breath with your body movements are connected with your breath, and I never thought of myself as somebody with anxiety, but I do. I have anxiety, and I notice it now that I practice pranayama, which is breathing techniques. I notice it when I'm feeling anxious or fearful. I'm breathing backwards. I'm inhaling and sucking my belly in when really you're inhaling and you're supposed to expand the belly. So
Yeah.
you notice it in moments like that with your breath and how important it is in your
Yeah.
body.
Yeah, yeah, it's when I'm usually not conscious about how I'm breathing as well. Like right before this interview, I always get anxiety, as I was telling you before the interview, before we start, and I notice there's like a clenching, like everything is up here,
Yes.
and I have to remind myself to. But does that feel like almost I don't know about for you, but for me it feels counterintuitive. Like it really feels like something you have to put in the effort and kind of make a habit of it, that
And that ties with your meditation. It's just bringing awareness to the moment, because we're human. Emotions are natural, and when you're in the moment, it's so hard to just refocus. But I feel like the more you meditate or practice yoga, you do become more mindful and aware of your body and everything you're feeling, and you can take a
yeah.
moment to be still and refocus and recenter yourself.
Yeah. And so when you discover that, hey, this yoga that I did not want to do, were there
Right.
other like exercises in that
Oh yeah, a lot of yoga.
package?
Oh, there was a whole, I forgot how many discs, but there were like back and arms, and it was like, lunges and kinds of exercises and arms and push-ups and pull-ups, and the yoga was so different, and it was 90 minutes long, and it was vinyasa flow. At the time I didn't know what that was, but the sun salutations were a huge part of it, and oh, I didn't like it, and then I loved it.
Yeah, and what is the I'm sorry?
You gain a confidence when you're doing yoga, and once you learn the flow and once you feel strong and you feel confident in the movement, it really, there's a shift. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A- and do you the what was it called? The Vasana flow?
Oh, vinyasa.
Vinyasa.
Yes.
Yeah, Vasanas are something else. That's like the habits, like the mental tendencies. But the Vinyasa is that.
Yes.
So can you, for people that don't know what that is, or what is that?
It's a type of yoga. So there are yoga, different types of yoga that you can take. So tonight I have my vinyasa class, and that's more of Ashtanga is where it's based off of. So it's very, Ashtanga is a very disciplined flow, um, and it's the same set of um, of, of postures
Hmm.
that you do. And vinyasa is kind of like a free flow off of that. It's really just a flow between movements, between postures. And we
Ah.
have a lot of sun salutations, and it's really, it incorporates the breath. So inhale, arms up, and it's a flowing practice.
And is that one? Is there a particular time of day that one would normally do that one?
Traditionally, yes, in the morning, because it incorporates a lot of sun salutations. Traditionally, that would be the one that you would do in the morning.
Ah. And what is the sun salutation?
Sun salutation is, it's a vinyasa flow. So it's saluting. It's a salute to the sun. So there's also something called a moon salutation for the evening that's more yin and more relaxing. But a sun salutation is a flow that you do in the morning, saluting the sun, and it's energizing. It's heat inducing. So it's yang. It's a yang practice, and you're moving, you're flowing and stretching, and it's a wonderful practice for the morning.
The yang practice.
Yes.
So the yang practice is that like a heat sort of energy?
Right, right. It's heat
Okay.
building. Okay, so you're going to like, so you can sweat more, or you're just really stretching the body. It's not as relaxing. It's more energizing. So you are building heat. Some people sweat. where yin practice is, it's not like that.
It's more of a, like, relaxing, sort of a cooling,
Right.
I don't know if that's the right word with the cooling,
Yeah,
but
yeah, it is. You're holding postures that may not be as difficult, like a forward fold, for about 2 to 5 minutes, depending
yeah.
on how long you've been doing it. But you would hold the postures longer.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
And so with the holding the I think when I used to do yoga, like I told you before before we started, I just started doing it again today, as kind of like I didn't want to do the interview without having done it at all. So
Right.
I felt like I needed to experience it again. And and I think the one I do is the flowing one. But there is something about when I have done the ones where you hold the poses for a long time, there is a very unique difference that I've felt, like almost like a meditative sort of feeling.
That's how I feel about the yin practice, but it's not just yin. In certain um, hatha yoga uh, sequences, you're holding the postures for longer. But I do feel like that it is more meditative because it can become uncomfortable. Never painful. It shouldn't be painful. But some of the
Yeah.
postures are uncomfortable, and you're breathing through it, and it is meditative, and it is teaching your body how to go elsewhere and not focus on that moment's inconvenience, which you can take off the mat into life, whether it
Yeah.
be a place situation or anything that's going on in your life that may not be pleasurable. You can take yourself out of the moment and find that inner peace.
Yeah. I mean, are there times where like one of the things that you know, doing something like yoga where you're really getting in touch with the body, for me feels like it could have a profound benefits for people that are dealing with trauma or difficult emotions. A lot of times when someone has trauma, there's the psychological aspect, but it's also really felt, as I'm sure in the body, and I think that's why when people are triggered, like you're in a relationship and you're triggered and you wonder why, the intellect is saying, why am I overreacting? But the body, we're usually not conscious of the fact that the body is like in survival mode. So
Right,
are there any practices that help to bring some attention to that part in the body that is feeling clenched, that it's feeling stressed? And I bring this up because with everything that we're going through, I'm hoping that, I want to give the viewer something that they may be able to, something that they may be able to use going forward, or
right.
think about going forward.
Right. Well, yoga reduces cortisol, which is one of the stress hormones that in fight or flight, it reduces that. So
Oh,
that's the
wow.
answer your question. Yes,
Yeah.
and I'm going to take it back to Happy Veterans Day for a moment because I have a veteran in one of my groups, and he's told me that he wishes that yoga was taught in the military training or as part of military training because it wasn't when he was in. I don't know if it's a part of it now, but he wishes that they were taught some form of mindfulness um, while they were overseas to deal with everything.
Yeah.
And it does help. It has helped him with his PTSD that he's had. So I have a letter actually. I don't have it with me. I'm sorry, but he did write a letter for one of my speeches that I had about how helpful yoga has been for his managing PTSD. Again, because well, there are so many different practices you can do. Yoga, period, helps to lower those stress hormones. And then if you do want to take it into a deeper meditative state, I would recommend yin or hatha yoga, where it's slower pace and you're holding
Yeah.
the postures longer, but you're still reducing the cortisol hormones in a like a vinyasa flow or a faster paced flow, you're still reducing those hormones, and you have a lot of twists that help with the digestion and detoxification, um, and draining of the lymph nodes. It's all a part of it. Yoga is a science that was developed 5,000 years ago, and they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, yeah, that's great, and it's funny because like just for me, I don't want to make it all about me, but since I stopped doing the yoga, I noticed that I'm the intensity of my anxiety when I do feel triggered, it's higher than it was. And I was
Yeah,
wondering, and now that you brought that up, it makes sense,
right.
that would happen. So let's, going back to when you first discovered that, hey, I kind of like the yoga part of this workout package that you were doing. Um, how did it benefit your life? Like, did you is it something that you like jumped right into after you got it, you got that connection, with it? Did you just become a daily yoga person and notice all of these benefits from it, or was it a gradual thing?
Maybe not daily initially. It was at least 3 times a week, but that was the only form of exercise I wanted to do aside from running. But even with running, it's such a great complement to help prevent injury. Um, but that was the only form of exercise again aside from running that I was doing, and then and I gained so much confidence because I felt these postures that I hated initially and that I couldn't do, and it's not about being able to do a posture. That's not what yoga's about, but there is something that happens internally when you start out and you feel so out of place and on the mat and you don't know what you're doing, and all of a sudden when you start getting into the flow and you gain confidence, you feel physically strong, and inside I did feel stronger inside, with so many other life changes that were going on in my life at the time. I had an inner strength that I don't think I had before that.
Yeah. And were you practicing Reiki at this time as well, or is this something that was the yoga the doorway to this kind of, I don't know if alternative healing modality? I don't know what to call it.
I consider it a holistic wellness or a holistic practice. That's what no, yoga was first and then Reiki. I did a Reiki session that changed my life, and I'll forever be grateful. Um, and that Reiki now I incorporate into every yoga practice that I have. When I have students come in at the end of a yoga practice, you have a final relaxation pose, shavasana. So it's at least 5 minutes long, where the students at the end of the practice, whether it was rigorous or not, they it's a meditative pose. You're just laying down on the mat, taking a moment to bring awareness into the body and the breath. And while they're in shavasana, I give Reiki to each student, and it just that has been tremendous.
Mm.
That has been so. It's been very healing for so many of the students,
Yeah.
um, in that little 5 minute time with the energies coming through.
Oh, that's great. And if you don't mind speaking about it, what was your that kind of breakthrough Reiki experience?
It well, okay. It went. The woman that gave me that did Reiki, she brought awareness to things that maybe I didn't want to acknowledge.
Yeah.
So she went over each chakra. You're holding hand positions over each chakra to send Reiki.
Hmm.
And are you familiar with chakras? And
Yeah.
so each chakra, it goes along with certain feelings, emotions, or I guess physical symptoms that I had. And I don't think I wanted to hear it at the time, but the more I thought about it, it shined awareness. It shined a light on something that I couldn't ignore anymore. So I had to kind of show up for myself and take it on and deal with it. It you
So was
know, it,
Yeah. Was it
it,
something that took some time to integrate? Was it like opening, breaking through the dam, and now you
Yeah,
know.
it was life changing. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It was absolutely life changing. And but what hides, the saying, "What hides in the dark always comes to light." Reiki is that light, and so anything that is no longer serving you is going to come up, and it you have to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm always curious about people that have those kind of really big experiences, during Reiki, because I've had some of those experiences with meditation and with Reiki. I'm always like a kind of a skeptic
right.
until, but then one day I had a Reiki session and I was literally just tears pouring.
Oh yeah.
The energy going through the body was so intense that the Reiki person she backed off, and I felt like I was coming off of the thing, and so it was like, but that took a while to integrate. Like it brought up a lot of stuff,
Yes.
that I didn't want to see, or I didn't really know how to deal with. Um, and but you were doing yoga at the time, so I mean that must have assisted with your integration
Oh
process.
yeah. Oh yeah. And then I mean after that I threw myself into I had to learn more about Reiki. I'm not somebody who can like tiptoe into something. I immerse myself in it,
Yeah,
So I started taking Reiki training with the Reiki master of the woman that did Reiki on me. That I mean it was so that was her mentor, and I started, her name is Danielle Ray in Smithtown, New York. And I started going to Danielle and for Reiki training immediately.
yeah. And is it something you teach now
I
to
teach it.
others?
Yeah, I have a level 2 this Saturday. It's exciting.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
And so you started. So at what point did you begin your teaching of yoga? Like when did you decide? How did that come about?
Um, how did it come? Well, I was doing yoga for a long to many years. I was practicing. I had my own yoga practice that I would do, and then I think it was when I started my Reiki training. I was just like, I really it was something that they tied so well together for my personal practice that I thought, I really should do something with this. I wanted, I really, I looked at my Reiki master as just a mentor, and I wanted to aspire to be like her one day, just helping people. She also teaches yoga to children with disabilities, and that was where I kind of took my lead from.
Yeah. And so, how has that experience been? I mean, do you teach kids with disability yoga now, or do you
Well,
ever
since
have you brought
COVID,
it?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I do teach children. It's since COVID, I haven't had many children come in, but I prior to that, I did have a nice group of children coming in,
Yeah. And
and it was
how do they respond to yoga?
oh, at first it was they just wanted to play, and then little by little they started knowing the words, and they knew about shavasana, and they would understand breathing, and we would put the little teddy bear. We would lay down, and they'd put a teddy bear on their lower belly and inhale, so the teddy bear can rise. So they were learning about pranayama and proper breathing, and we focused on I am affirmations. I'm so big on I am affirmations and speaking it into existence. And so we would go from I am a dinosaur to, speaking how we want to feel, and I am happy, and I am strong, I am smart, and it was beautiful. I have actually I don't want to turn the camera around, but I have little pictures that they drew with their I am affirmation and their favorite yoga pose of the day, and it was amazing to see.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's great. I think that it should be part of the school curriculum to have kids practice, because kids they don't have the conceptual framework to be able to process big emotions, and unfortunately a lot of times parents and the person that's that's there that's supposed to provide this safe space pass on this message to the kids that expressing the emotions aren't good, and so the kids take on this idea and they learn to repress and hold their breath, and so and then it becomes a habit. So it yeah, it'd be nice to have yoga everywhere.
Oh,
Mm,
absolutely.
yeah. So in terms of like let's say someone came to you and like they have some sort of not disability, but someone that's older, would are there like more gentle yogas that people can do, from
Oh,
their
there's actually gentle yoga.
oh
That's
yeah,
a thing. Yeah.
yeah,
There's gentle yoga and I have chair yoga. There's something called chair yoga for people who either have an injury or a disability, or for seniors. So I've had people who have had an injury, whether it be on crutches, or I have a lot of seniors that come in for chair yoga. And that is a more gentle practice where you don't have to stand up necessarily, but you're still getting the stretching. We still will work on balance. I mean, flexibility, balance, and strength. They, for a senior citizen, will make all the difference between living an independent lifestyle or needing assistance. God
yeah,
forbid a fall. One fall could make a difference for them. So really, we focus on a lot of balance and strength postures. We do arms and twists with our arms, and it's wonderful, but
yeah,
more
that's yeah, that's great. And I think now, with again with COVID, I think I I'm sure that yoga in some way helps with the immune system. It's I,
gentle.
yeah, so it could be something that could help all around.
Right.
Especially right now. And so, do you offer meditations during your like? Do you do guided meditations and things like that?
Well, guided meditations are something that scared me. I didn't feel confident in guiding the meditation. So normally, I did start taking that on maybe a few months ago. I started having a Reiki and meditation at least once a month. I do it, and it actually went very well. So I'm gaining my confidence in that area. But yeah, I do at least once a month a Reiki and guided meditation. Um,
Okay. And how long are those usually?
It's about an hour, so I'll guide the meditation and guide. I could just guide them on the mat, and then I'll go around. It's a group Reiki session, so I'll just go around and give Reiki to each person in the room, and then at the end, guide them out of the meditation and just go over some of the chakras that may or may not need work.
Okay. Oh, and how has the response been?
Oh, they love it. They wanted
Yeah.
more. We've been doing it on a full moon because everybody likes to burn stuff, and we'll write down things that we want to release on a full moon. And
Yeah.
I have a little inside the studio. I bring a little bowl with a candle, and we have a little. They get to write down everything that they want to let go of after their session, and we burn that. And it's been they love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you still practicing the Reiki with with the COVID, or have you been doing it online or?
I still do. I shut it down when we were mandatory, when we had to shut down for quarantine. Then I was just doing on virtual. I did distance Reiki and
Yeah.
virtual yoga sessions. But since mid June in Pennsylvania, we were allowed to open up. So I am doing both in person, and I
Oh, good.
offer for a lot of the seniors. I mean, they're scared to come in person, and I understand that. So I'll do virtual um,
Yeah.
yoga sessions as as, as people demand them. That hasn't been very in demand. People will come into the studio, but
Okay.
yeah, and usually it's a Reiki group of a group of either family members or people who come in for the group Reiki and meditation that know each other.
Yeah.
But it's smaller groups, but in person.
Yeah. And what is your like? What would you say your favorite yoga? What is your go-to like stress reliever yoga pose?
Pose? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Crescent lunge.
Okay. What is that? That's a
Crescent, press and lunge, it's a balance and a strength, and it's hard. So if you stand up, want to do it?
Sure.
Okay. I don't know if you can see me. Let me move this. So if you stand up, well, you can't see me, but that's okay. Okay. So if you stand up, you want to do it?
I have a bunch of equipment around here, so it's
Okay. So you're just
yeah.
gonna stand up and step 1 foot back, and you're on the ball of that back foot, and
Okay.
so that you make sure over that front leg you can see your toes, and you're lifting up. So
Okay.
you're balancing, and if you're challenging yourself to build strength in the legs and the core is activated to keep those arms nice and tall. And I find it challenging, and I like that.
So it's like you're really focusing on the posture and kind of you
Proper
know
alignment,
the alignment. Yeah.
right? Proper alignment, and then I mean, it looks maybe just to do one, it looks pretty simple. But when you're going through the vinyasa flows and you're tired, and you
Yeah.
have to stand there and keep your it is it's very challenging,
Yeah.
and it is a balanced posture. And like I said, I do love balanced postures because maybe when we're younger, it's not that it doesn't seem like it's as important, but it really becomes so important as we get older.
Yeah, very much so. Like just me trying to get back into it today, it was very difficult.
Yeah,
And then
I feel
afterwards,
good after, right?
yeah, I did feel good. I
Yeah.
felt very relaxed, and yeah, it was really nice. Um, let's see, is there anything that like we haven't gotten into that you wanted to talk about that anything that when you think of yoga and Reiki, is there anything that really just gets you inspired and
Well, the one thing, not the one thing, but what I love so much about Reiki over anything else is that it really it makes you responsible for your own healing. There's no blaming anybody else. It's all about what's going on within your body. They're getting to the root cause of it, which usually you're able to kind of diagnose based on what chakra is having an imbalance. You can really it really does help pinpoint the root cause of a lot of things that are going on emotionally in your body. um,
okay,
and that there's a book, You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay.
okay,
Absolutely amazing. It says every physical dis-ease has an emotional root. So it helps you get to the root cause of so many ailments that we may be feeling physically or emotionally, and it really it puts the healing in your hands. Nobody else can do that for you. And that's what I love the most about it is the Reiki practitioner holds space for your healing, but ultimately you have to do the work. And I really like that aspect of it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a lot of times what I find becomes a habit for me and many others. You talked about place and blame and things like that, but all these different ego ways of distracting from looking within. And I think part of that is because there's this fear of the uncertainty of what's here, and also we've put so many judgments on top of it, and all the concepts, and we haven't. So what it sounds like you're saying is when we have the power to look deeply and to really see what's there, and perhaps shine the light of awareness, by just putting the attention
Right.
at that area. And I guess what I would ask, one thing that comes up for me, and I'll be kind of like the test person, with this thing. So let's say that I'm feeling a clenching in the diaphragm. That's where I feel it a lot of times, and it could be connected to the emotion might be not feeling good enough or feeling less than or something like that, and so there's this clenching to as a way to protect the body's way of, okay, this is bad. So if I came to you with this thing going on, how would you, what would you direct me to do?
Well, we would discuss it prior to a Reiki session, and then I would do Reiki on you, and to me, it just off the bat, it just because of the location, and you don't feel good enough. It's self confidence, maybe. Um, that sounds like a solar plexus issue, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and even just go looking up the diaphragm, or if you're having difficulty breathing or anything like that, you can look in the back of that You Can Heal Your Life book. I love with people to show where you may feel physical dis-ease. She calls it, Louise Hay calls it dis-ease. It connects to what the emotional root may be. I don't know that one off the top of my head. I have the book here. I can look it up for you. But we would look up the book, and there are yoga poses that you could do, or essential oils that you could do, and ultimately just journaling exercises you could do to feel more confident. But just bringing the awareness. So if I told you it would be the solar plexus, which it has to do with self confidence, maybe some control issues, letting go of
Yeah.
control. You don't have to have control over everything. It's okay. It's all, things like that, and just awareness to it. But you seem like you knew what that issue was. Like, your awareness was.
Yeah, yeah. I have a, this is one that I've been working on, and I guess I don't, do these things ever go away completely, or is it? What has your experience been, or are they? My experience has been, I mean, just for me, is it does come back, but it's not as overwhelming. It's more. I would guess it's more embraced. It's more. There's a relaxing with it. It's less of there's less. Well, this means that I'm this. Sort of
Yeah,
thing going on.
yeah. Well, I've seen people really work on chakra issues that have been for at least a year, been troubling them, been like the trouble spot. And sometimes that is the trouble spot, where when things are great, it's great, but then when things go wrong, that's the weak spot, but at least you've done the work, you're aware of what those issues are, and then you can catch it sooner, before, again, if you believe that physical ailments stem from emotional roots, you can catch it before the body starts screaming at you in a physical dis-ease. So you're able, just the awareness of it, and if you do the work, you'll be able to catch it before it becomes something more.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree. I think it could manifest in, a lot of different illnesses that we see today. It's from not because when I put attention there, and there is a relaxing, there is, I just feel like a different person, and it seems to also open up like creativity. It seems in some ways.
And it's your diaphragm, and that's taking in oxygen fully to the body, and like you said, just being able to relax yourself. Most chronic illnesses they stem from stress, so
Yeah,
just stress in your body alone is huge.
yeah.
Just aware of it, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, I'm glad we're talking about this because this is like the thing that people are dealing with today. And there's a question: how do you slow your racing mind at night so you can fall asleep?
Okay, well,
This is
meditation.
from a viewer. This is from a viewer.
I always recommend the Insight Timer app. Have you heard of
Ah,
it? Insight
yeah, yeah,
meditation app. So I they have guided meditations, and you can really go through them and see, because sometimes voice really matters, a person's voice for the
yeah,
guided meditation. Um, so you can go through and find somebody who has a very relaxing voice that will take you on a guided meditation. Some of them are wonderful, and that can really help, because your mind isn't able to race because you're so focused on where the guided meditation is taking you. Or I do a lot of the meditation with just an instrumental background, just focusing on the breath.
yeah,
But
yeah.
some of them will go for hours. They'll go all night long.
Oh, wow.
Insight timer, and you can if it has a timer, you can turn it off. But a guided meditation is wonderful for the evening.
Yeah, and I'm sure the yoga throughout the day helps too, because when
Oh
the
yeah,
body's relaxed and you're more
yoga.
flexible and when you're also putting some attention on those spots in the body that's connected to the emotion, that's probably
Right.
helping as well. So
Oh, absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. Or Reiki, if you do Reiki level one, that enables you to self heal. So that's what I do. I do my self healing at night before bed, and it really does help to induce a meditative state and relaxes the body. So if you take a Reiki level one course anywhere with any Reiki master, you can learn to perform self healing on yourself at night, and it really that helps so much.
yeah.
So many ways. Running, right? Run in the morning. You'll be tired at night. There are so many ways to do it. Just moving the body, period. Getting the energy flowing. Moving is important.
Yeah, yeah, I found that to be the case as well. And in terms of giving yourself Reiki, so this is something that you do, with your hands, or like what would that look like?
So there, for self healing, you're using your hands. There's a quick one. You hold your hand over one hand over the heart, one hand over the root chakra, and that would be just a quick little touch up of a self
Yeah.
healing. Or you could do a full session where you're going over each chakra for at least 3 minutes per chakra, and you're doing a full session on yourself.
And what's going on internally? Because for me, what might be going on is you know, the mind saying, okay, are you feeling anything? Is it? But I'm assuming that you need to be like kind of in this place of presence and like let this guide
Yeah,
somehow. So can you
right. Well,
talk a little
Reiki
bit about
energy.
that?
Well,
Yeah.
the Reiki energy, Reiki is love. To put it just very, just to just be blunt, it's Reiki is love, and it is intuitive. It goes where it's needed. So just having full confidence in that, and just holding my hands over with a chakra, even if I don't feel any energy, or if it feels like it's clear, I'll stay there for a certain amount of time just to make sure that the energy's flowing. And again, just knowing that the energy is going to go where it's needed. I think
Yeah.
to ease the mind, and I just pay attention to what I'm feeling. I've had symbols kind of show up in my head telling me, how to move, or just a symbol in my head that popped up that kind of it was new to me, and it just meant a balance, and it was just you could feel it. I could feel it within my body, and it just being present is that being present alone is pretty amazing because it's so hard and to just be present sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, especially nowadays with social media and everything else, sometimes I'm checking my phone right before I go to sleep and then right when I wake up. And
Yeah.
yeah, so it's a little bit more of a workout. There was something else so Cecilia says, the person that asked the previous question was Lydia Richardson, my mom. The
Oh,
Yeah, she's and mom, you have plenty of guided meditations from me as well. And Cecilia Waterman Santiago says, yes, Reiki goes where it's needed. We don't really have to direct it to one specific area. So that's,
right.
yeah. So let's see. So Harry, thank you for joining. Papote, thank you for joining. So we have a few. Abd Hakim. Okay, thank you for joining. Hope I pronounced your name correctly. Let's see. There was something else that. Oh, okay. So did I ask this? Do you do like is there any positive affirmations or something that you do when you're doing the Reiki, or is it more of just letting the energy go wherever it wants to go?
I call in the beginning and at the end. I'll say it's almost like my own little prayer that I do to just call in. It just for the highest, greatest good of that person that I'm working on, or if it's myself for myself. And then throughout, I always envision the person in their highest good, whether that be smiling or laughing, whatever image comes to my mind. Just envisioning them in their highest good.
Yeah.
Always. always.
Yeah.
And even the positive affirmations I do before at the end of every yoga practice as well. Um, we set our intentions and we do I am affirmations.
Yeah.
It,
That,
it, it's life changing. It helps to rewire your brain almost, just to stop. Instead of saying I am sick, up until now I wasn't well. Moving forward, I am well. Just to shifting the words. It's still saying what you want to say, but speaking positivity. Making that a practice, really, that's another one that's life changing. It's a small shift, but it's huge
yeah.
ultimately.
It was funny. I was just going to say, yeah, but it's really difficult. But maybe what can I replace that with?
Up until now, I was having difficulty with it, but moving forward,
Yeah.
I speak positively. I don't know. It's just a shift. Up until now is a great one, because you can still say what you want to say in that moment and complain if you need to, but up
Yeah.
until now.
And I'm just getting into this, the sort of, I don't know. I think today is like the big manifestation day, right?
11.
11/11. And so I'm just starting to I'm always behind with these sort of things. I'm more of, in terms of the spiritual stuff, I'm more of a, I guess, like self-inquiry, like a Veda Vedanta sort of, that sort of way
Okay.
of doing it. A lot of questioning
Right.
and wanting to see. you know? Yeah, yeah.
Well,
But
I
I'm,
think it should be your manifestation day. Some people, I mean, I won't say I do it every morning, but some people do. It's my goal to do this every morning, but they'll have a manifestation journal, whether it's for the day, whatever they want to manifest for the day or for the week or for the month. I mean, a great one to do is on a new moon to write down for that month what your goals are and what you would like to manifest, and speaking it as if you already have it, and thank you in advance. Always thank you is
yeah,
being grateful while envisioning what you want, and being grateful. It's huge.
yeah,
It could be a daily thing. It doesn't have to be just today, you know
yeah. And it sounds like it's something just like how, you with the doing yoga over and over, your body and your mind took to it and said,
Oh
"Wow,
yeah.
this is great." So it's just getting into the habit of trying it out,
Yes.
and that's, and sometimes, I don't know about you, but I feel like having being in the spirit of curiosity and playfulness helps, rather than, just being very strict and, tense about things, that it has to be this way or that way.
Right. Yeah, I don't usually listen to people who tell me where the way it has to be. It really is so simple. You just listen to what feels good to your body, and it doesn't have. It could be everything can be fun and done with a smile. I mean, it's everything can be done in love. It's how it should be. But it really is so simple.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be difficult or.
Yeah, it is simple. So, is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we didn't get a chance to talk about before we wrap up?
I think we covered it with the yoga and the Reiki. Unless you have any questions.
No, no. So you're
Okay.
good. You
I'm
get
good. I'm good.
okay, good. And where can people, if someone was to take a yoga class with you or Reiki, how can people find you?
Crownyogaandreiki.com.
Okay. And I'll also put a link to that in the description of this
Okay.
video so that
Okay.
people can easily find it. And again, if anyone has any, okay, oh, Cecilia also commented, as we raise our vibration, we are in sync with what is vibrating with us, and it usually makes manifestation seamless. Oh, great. So now I got to raise my vibration.
Gratitude. It's
Which will
always the
be
best way to do
easy.
it. Gratitude in advance.
Yeah.